Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview and Domestic Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning, well, technically Tuesday, the 8th of September, ending Friday the 11th of September 2015. That's because we have the short week here, the long weekend for Labor Day. So the stock market does not open until Tuesday, obviously. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. You can see we've been a little busy over the last couple of weeks. Let's take one more look at the fib tool and see what happened here. So we had made the plunge last more than 2 weeks ago and retraced all the way back up to the 61.8% fib and then rolled over from there. And this last week's been down back to the 25% fib, little bounce, and then closing at near the lows of the week on Friday as we headed into the long weekend. It was a very light volume day on Friday, only 1.4 billion shares on the NASDAQ. But this chart in general does not bode well for the market, does not look good. This isn't just a chart you just recover from. Remember, you've got 8 months of people trapped in higher prices, and now they've been suddenly shaken and rattled, and the odds that it's going to just walk back up and save them all is not usually likely. So be very careful of that. Here's a look at crude oil, down 97 cents on Friday, closed at 95.75. That's back down from the highs middle of the week. Here's gold, down 60 cents to about 1133.77. Here is the S&P lost 29.9 on Friday. That's after a little gap down and just kind of didn't do much overall. Basically closed about where it opened, a little lower. Here's the NDX, lost 50, and it was down quite a bit at the open as well. We'll look at the intraday action here in a minute. Here's the SOX index, down just 11. That's not too meaningful for the SOX. Here's the biotechs, down 7.7. That's not great for the bios. And then the VIX up 2.19, bouncing a little bit as the market starts to roll over here yet again. The trend closed the session. Big close 3.19. That brings the moving average, the 10-day moving average, back up to 1.77. Obviously, high readings on the trend. Here's a look at NASDAQ volume, 1.45 billion shares. That's because everybody was out on Friday, went away for the long weekend early. That's what tends to happen there. Advanced decline ratio literally closed positive 13 more. They had 13 more stocks up. No, that's the moving average. Sorry, we had 790 stocks more down than up on the NASDAQ, and on the New York it was 1616 more down than up. Here's a look at Google that lost 8, and that's a precarious situation for Google. That's not a great looking chart there. Here's Apple, also not looking good, right on that 10-day moving average. Lost $1.10 back to the 109 range on Friday. Here's Amazon lost 5.72, and Netflix down 2.27. All right, let's take a look at the intraday action here using the futures charts. And actually, we're going to go to 10-minute candles so that we can see the whole week. And then we will back this out enough so we can see all that. So here's 10-minute candles on the ES. There's a nice loud alert for you. And then let's back the chart out a little bit more. So there's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday, and the prior Friday. So you can see we gapped down a little bit Monday. We were flat. We did not fill the gap. We gapped down further on Tuesday, went lower. We gapped up a little bit Wednesday. Didn't quite fill that gap initially. Ended up rallying at the close. Thursday, we gapped up a bit. So remember, so far we've got gaps the first 3 days, none of them filled. Thursday, we gap up and kept going higher. That filled the gap from Tuesday morning, the gap down. And we rolled a little bit. We did fill the gap right there from that day. And then the gap down and lower ends up filling the gap from Tuesday into Wednesday. So what that leaves is the gap from Monday that never filled and the gap from Friday morning that never filled. And you can see we did rally back just a bit late in the day on Friday after looking pretty weak there. A little bit of short covering. Obviously, there's been some short players in the market here. Covered it out ahead of the long weekend. They didn't want to hold the position. Here's a look at the NASDAQ futures. Pretty much the same deal here. You can see the 13 buy signal on the Comer right near the middle of the day on Friday. We rallied off of that. And that's about it. All right, so let's take a look at the data that's coming out this week. This is that was actually last week's numbers, so here we go. We opened back up on the 8th which is Tuesday. The only data there is the consumer credit number in the afternoon, not a big deal. Wednesday, the MEA mortgage index and JOLTS jobs openings, not a big deal. Thursday, initial and continuing jobless claims. It's the weekly number, along with import-export prices. Wholesale inventories and natty gas are both weekly numbers. Sorry, wholesale inventories, It's not. Natty gas and crude oil inventories are. And then Friday, PPI, Michigan sentiment, and Treasury budget. So it's not a super busy week, but there's a few points in there that could be interesting. There's also a lot of stuff going on around the world. So I do think it'll be a more interesting week. Remember, traditionally, August is really slow, and then you come back, and whatever slow volume you had over the summer, it starts to come back. And after Labor Day last year, literally volume just jumped. Now, of course, we've seen some great volume days here in August with all the volatility, so not as much to complain about this year. It's been a great August, but obviously, we'd like to see the regular volume come back in and become more normal here post-Labor Day, post-summer as we head into September and head into really the next 7-8 months are usually the best trading time of the year. So good to have that behind us, and let's hope that we see it. We will be in the lab helping you out, trying to make some money. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. If you have not taken a trial of our services, you may feel free to do so. Have a great trading week.